Hey guys, it's Josh here and welcome back to another build video. Today we will be building a simple mid-century home which I think turned out quite nice. I think every time I describe something I say quite nice, so I want to try and think up of new words to use instead of quite nice because I'm just saying it way too often. Anyway, this house is a simple 2-bedroom home. The one bedroom is a double bed and the other bedroom is a small kids bedroom, so obviously you could probably find a way to expand the house when you get more Sims, but for the most part this is just a small family home with a nice backyard for your Sims to hang out in. This is probably a really good house to live in during the summer because, well, I think in Oasis Springs it's basically summer the entire time, so this house would be perfect for inviting friends over or inviting kids over after school one day and just spending so much time outside in the backyard, because I did place a water bucket for water balloons and I also placed a really cool water slide thing from, I forgot what pack it's from, but it's like the huge water slide which you can place down and Sims can slide on it all day. And yeah, this is a pretty good house on the exterior, I guess. It does take me a while to find out a nice shape for it though, because I couldn't really figure out if I wanted to have like a flat sidewall or if I wanted to have like what I'm doing right now and having like the boxes, like huge columns going on the side. I do keep the columns in the end, but the backing wall it actually becomes a room later on, because when I try and start doing the interior, this house is way too small in the interior for me to do what I wanted, so I just extended the little extension out towards the garage carport area. It's not really a garage, it's a carport, and the carport also has an entrance, so you kind of have to walk up along the side of the house to get in, which I think is fine because the orientation of the house makes it so that, well, the orientation of the interior makes it so that it's kind of better to enter from the side rather than the front, because the front is dining area instantly, so you'd kind of want to maybe come in from the side so that you're not instantly welcomed into the dining room and you actually can have room for a small little entrance area, I guess. Anyway, we are working on the interior almost, I believe. I just do the rooms first, but then that's when I realized, oh no, this is way too small for me to do anything I want. So I do extend the house a little bit so that there's actually enough room to have 2 bedrooms, but it takes me a while to figure that out. Once we do all that, we will extend and then go back inside, and we start with like I placed the fireplace first for some reason, just to like, I guess, find out how much space it will actually take up, and then I actually go into the kitchen because I always start with the kitchen. So I'm just letting you guys know that I'm not going to be starting from the kitchen today a little bit, just because I placed the fireplace, but then I go straight to the kitchen. Anyway, here we go with the fireplace, but after we place the fireplace, we move straight to the kitchen and start from there. The kitchen was quite interesting because originally I was just going to have it a simple open kitchen, but then I decided to kind of make it into a little corner, as like a kind of tuck it away in the corner with some columns around it. And then I also have like a little counter area as well, which can be accessed from the hallway, which I thought was a pretty cool idea, because maybe if it's hot, maybe you could serve some food up there so the guests can serve their own food from the counter and then take it outside to sit out in the nice weather maybe. So I think it turned out really cool in that regard, and I do have some trouble picking what kind of counter I wanted to use at the start because I just didn't really know what kind of overall color scheme I was going for, so I kind of like chose bright colors, weird colors, brown colors, and then in the end I did end up picking a really nice countertop, a really nice splashback wallpaper. It's not really a splashback, it's just a simple timber wallpaper. I think I used no, it's not a wallpaper in the end, it's the fitness stuff wallpaper in the end. That's like the waves one. I forgot what it's called specifically, but I like rediscovered it a few days ago and I'm like literally in love with it. It's so amazing. The texture itself is so like detailed and it looks really cool. So I think I used it for the kitchen, and I also used it somewhere else as well, like on the bathroom wall. I'd used them there as well, and I think it turned out quite interesting. So anyway, this is basically how the kitchen turns out in the end. I do change the countertops to be a bit more white and brown instead of a weird like in-between color. So yeah, as you can see, I'm changing the color scheme to be less bright and pops, like there's less pops of color now, but the brown itself is kind of a pop of color if you ask me, because it contrasts pretty nicely with the white. So the kitchen, the basic kitchen shape and appliances have been placed. Later we'll be going back to place some clutter, obviously, because if you've watched my other videos, I just don't stop there. I always place way too much clutter, but I think it always turns out pretty cool to see how it looks once all the clutter has been placed. Anyway, we're moving on to the lounge room now. The lounge room goes through quite a few like iterations, I guess, of seat placement. So at the start I was just going to use this massive base game couch, but that turned out to be a bit too big, so I just chose two small armchairs that you can see right now, and I just put a coffee table in the middle of them. But then that was obviously too small even for a family of 3, because where's the third person gonna sit? Like, the 2 parents could sit there, but I guess the kid will have to sit on the ground. I don't think that's a good idea. So we end up picking the 2-seater of the original couch we used, and then I kept the 2 armchairs, but I put one up against the wall. So I guess if you have guests over and you need that extra seat to watch TV, you can drag it over. But when it's not in use, you can just have it there. And I guess if you're just having a chat and you're not really watching TV, you can probably just sit there as well. It's quite practical. And we also changed the back wall, or I mean the front wall, I guess it's not really the back wall, but the front wall across the fireplace area. I made it into a masonry, no, that's not even masonry, it's a stone brick wall that looks pretty cool, especially because the fireplace is there to like bring out the space a bit more as well. Anyway, this area right here, it will be the bathroom. I do have trouble picking a door because I don't know why, but I really don't like the base game door that's got the modern frame, but it's got the wooden door itself. Like, I wish there was a white swatch of that, because that would be so amazing. In my personal playthroughs, I do have it because I've got the CC for it, like the door that we can see right now. But like, obviously there's not really any other options for me to use, so I kind of have to make do with that door. It doesn't look the worst, especially because I did pick a different swatch which had a grey frame, which I think turned out better. And I was gonna use the Bowling Night stuff accent table somewhere, and I guess at the time I thought I wouldn't really make it work, but then I decided to put it up against the kitchen countertop, which turned out really cool in the end. You'll see it right now. And next to it I put a plant, and then I also put a fruit bowl on it. So I actually really like that little kitchen area. Like, I don't know why. I posted it on Twitter, so if you follow me on Twitter, you've probably already seen it, but like, I actually absolutely love how this turned out, and it looks like most of you guys did too, because you guys were commenting and liking it. So yeah, anyway, we're moving back into the kitchen again, I guess, placing some floor mats down. Well, not in the kitchen, in the dining and lounge area we put some floor mats down, and then I believe we start with the bedrooms. For some reason, I've got no idea what I was doing, but I was placing like bathroom tiling and flooring for one of the bedrooms, and I got really confused. I was like, why is this bathroom so big? But that was because it wasn't even the bathroom, because I had to build this over 2 parts, so I literally just came back to build, and I guess when I started it, I kind of forgot the rooms. I don't even know what I was doing. Anyway, we've realized that and we fixed it all up, and we're starting with the master bedroom. Well, it's kind of just a regular bedroom. It's not really a master bedroom because it's not like a master suite or no ensuite or anything. It's just a big bedroom for the parents, I guess. It does have a few like modern elements, like that base game dresser, but I didn't try and make it ultra modern because back then, in the mid-century era, there wouldn't have been like ridiculously ultra modern objects. So obviously this is their current day, so there'd be a few appliances here and there that are quite modern, but like the main theme and feel of the house, I tried to keep dated in some ways, like how I'm using lots of timber and there's less like of those clean slate white objects. There's more of the wooden timber textured objects, I guess. It's kind of hard to explain. And the kids' bedroom turned out to be quite interesting because I don't think this kind of bedroom would have existed back then because it's so bright, so colorful. Oh my goodness, I don't know what I was thinking when I did this room, but it turns out to be this really bright blue. I kind of like it though. It's really it has a really like childish vibe to it, so I think a kid would absolutely love to live in this room. Like if I was a kid still, I'd love this room so much because there's so much color. I'd show it off to all my friends and we'd like play Void Critters or whatever, or Pokemon cards in this room. Anyway, so at this stage I was kind of just going for an orange color, but then I decided to play around with all the swatches and go through a purple phase, but then I find this blue color, and the wallpaper that I used went actually really well with this bed. Like the wallpaper itself, or the paint rather, matches the pillow and like the bed sheets perfectly, while then there's also that secondary blue color which goes well with the desk. And like this, I think they're all from the same pack, which is why they all match, but like it looks so cool. And even that dino looks really cool with the whole room. But obviously I tried to restrain myself and kept half the room, I guess, normal colored, so the half the room is just the brown timber color, while the other half is like this ridiculous blue color. Anyway, we're moving on to that bathroom now. I do place a decoration on top of the toilet which looks quite cool. You probably saw what I did there, and I placed a shelf down and leveled it up with the toilet so I could place it exactly where I wanted, because if you were pressing 9 and 0, you'd probably not be able to get it at the right level. So what I do as a trick with the smaller clutter items is I line it up with a shelf first and then just drag it over, just so it's perfectly aligned. Just something small I figured out randomly one day. Anyway, we're basically just placing the paintings now, or posters I guess, and we also place a small little study nook like up against the window next to the entrance area, which I think is the only place where I would have been able to place a desk. So that's that. I place a desk down, and then after that we move on to the exterior. I still think there is a bit more time there before we move to the exterior, but once we do, I think I'll let you guys off there just as a forewarning. But there will be screenshots at the end as well, so stay tuned for that. But anyway, before that we have to place the clutter items. I do have some trouble finding some clutter because there's not many like clutter items that are themed towards the mid-century era. There's like kind of modern ones, there's kind of like the outdoor living or the outdoor retreat, kind of like old, like it's not old but it's just kind of made of wood. There's not really any mid-century kind of like pop-up stuff you'd kind of see back then. I did like find some pop-up like that llama one, and I was going to use that kids one as well with the plane on it, but that was a bit too out of place, so I just picked a random boat metal art decoration piece. I'm not sure what you would call that, just an art decor. And I'll also start placing appliances here and there and clutter. So the kitchen, as you see it right now, is practically finished now. I do place a few clutter items up against the half wall, or up on the half wall itself actually, which I think turned out pretty cool. I didn't actually realize you could place stuff on the half walls itself until quite recently, so I was actually quite excited to find out. So how cool does that look? And you can even use cheats to just move it to wherever you want. Anyway, I think we're almost done. When we start moving outside, I'll actually quickly explain the outside when we get to it, and then I'll let you guys off there. Anyway, we're just placing some more windows because the kitchen actually had no windows in it, which was a bit surprising, so I did place a couple of windows down. And if you just noticed, I placed one of the desks above the bed. I'm not sure why I did that, but I'm going to take it off in the final product. But I think I was just trying to go for like those, you know, those breakfast in bed kind of tables. I think I was trying to do something like that because I did see some other people on Twitter doing it a while ago, and I thought, hey, that's a pretty cool idea. I might actually keep it, but I'm not too sure. I'll have to decorate it if I do keep it there. I'll put some like buy debug plates or something on it. But anyway, we're basically done on the interior. We'll move out very shortly to the exterior. I do place some nice decorations and objects for your Sims to use, as well as lots of plants, because I always place so many plants. It's not even funny anymore at this stage. I just place way too many plants, and I try to stop myself, but I just can't stop, and I just keep placing plants until like I get really tired and I just stop the build. Like I just basically build until I drop when it comes to the exterior plants. Even inside I place quite a few plants, but I think I've gotten better at it. I don't place as many plants as I used to. Like if you watched my very first base game build, which was my very first build for this channel, I place so many plants, it's not even funny. Even on the outside, there's just so many plants. But anyway, we're moving on to the exterior now, finally. And the back area is kind of interesting because it's half fenced off, but it's not really blocked off. Like people could just walk into the backyard quite easily, but for the most part, it's kind of half private, and there's a few trees that are quite big because this is a pretty old house, because this was built in the mid-century, but it's the current day. So the trees that were built or that were planted around it when it was built obviously have grown to be really, really big. And there's a huge water slide for kids and I guess adults as well if they want to use. There's a water balloon area, and there's also a barbecue and shaded seating area. Well, it's not a shaded seating area, it's just a table with an umbrella above it. So it's one of those umbrella tables. So I guess it does have shade, but if it's like the afternoon like it is right now, or the evening rather, then obviously you wouldn't be that sheltered from the sun. But in the middle of the day during lunchtime, which is the perfect time to be sitting outside, you'd be sheltered from the sun for the most part. But anyway, you got this really nice retro looking barbecue and a nice seat as well to supervise the kids while you're chatting with some guests, and then all the kids could be playing on the water slide. It looks so cool. Like I never really get to use a water slide that much in my builds because it never really fits, but in a mid-century home I think this fits so well, because back during this time most of the kids would probably, like, TV probably didn't exist. Well, it did exist, but it wasn't that special or anything at this time, and I guess the kids would have spent most of the time outside playing with friends after school on a hot summer's day, sliding around, throwing water balloons at each other, and the parents would just be sitting outside chatting with some neighbors as well. Like there's so much outdoor time instead of screen time. Like basically back then the screen time was just replaced with outdoor time when it was a lot more simpler. The simpler days, I guess. Never got to experience it because I was born a lot later. Anyway, we're basically done, I believe. So I was so funny. I said I was gonna like leave you guys off, but when we started the outside, but I've kind of just talked over the whole thing. Anyway, I'll leave you guys off here now. I hope you guys enjoy the rest of the video. There will be screenshots at the end of this, so stay tuned for that. Anyway, I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye guys.